Welcome to More Patience, More Impact, More Income, the podcast for real holistic medical practitioners who want to grow their high-impact, high-income practice without selling out. And now, here's your host, Chris Axelrad.
Welcome back to More Patience, More Impact, More Income. You're listening to part 2 of the series. Let's jump back in.
So the most important thing you can do if you want better retention and referrals, it's the key to gravitational pull. Calm down, number one. Just calm down. Learn how to stay calm. And that means not just, poker face to where you're nervous on the outside. Nervous on the inside, calm on the outside. But where you're actually calm on the inside too. Because again, people can pick up on when you're faking it, okay? And have fun. Actually have fun in your practice. Even if you only have 2 patients on the schedule, even if next week's schedule sucks, have fun anyway. You know why? Because it's a blessing and a gift to do this work. It truly is. And, to take that for granted is just, to me, it's just one of the worst things we can do. Because we have this opportunity to do such amazing things and help people in such amazing ways. So calm down and have fun. Really. Promise. It works. And honestly, this is why a lot of us fail. We don't know how to deal with the level of emotional distress in others. We can't even deal with it in ourselves. And if we're marketing to people who have real problems and who are really in a bind, and who are really having issues, then they're scared and they're worried and they have all kinds of shit going on. They're probably pissed off too. And there's all kinds of emotions and all kinds of intensity there. So there's a lot of people in our field who they feel quote unquote drained by people who have these serious problems. And what I always tell them is, no, the people don't drain you. You drain yourself by allowing yourself to get all emotional and freaked out. You can stay calm anytime you want. There's, highly trained Navy SEALs, right? Who can stay perfectly calm while there's bombs going off around them and people are shooting at them. And they're just chilling. They're okay. And they're thinking through everything very rationally and very methodically, even though they're in the middle of a war zone, right? And, we can sit calmly and stay completely calm when somebody, it's totally possible to do this, when somebody is crying because they just lost their baby, at 10 weeks, or when someone is really, really super anxious because they're having another flare-up of their lupus or whatever. Okay, we have to be the ones that stay calm. And the way that you do that is you have to have daily mindset rituals that cultivate that inner peace and that build something that I call limitless joy, just this very this just calm sense of joy in your heart that you can just connect with at any time. Okay? See, the masters, they didn't mention self-cultivation for nothing. If you look at the Neijing and you look at all the classics of medicine, if you're on the Western side, you look at Hippocrates and all of the forefathers of that medicine, and they all say you have to maintain your own space. You have to be, it's your connection to spirit is very critical to the process. That's not lip service. It's real. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Now, something your patient desperately wants, but will never ask you for it, again, because they probably don't even know they need it, but even if they do, they're not going to ask for it, okay? And you have to give them this. See, like I said, leading up to all the marketing and getting them in the office and then getting them to say yes and getting them, you're really they've kind of stepped across the bridge and now they're on your side of the bridge. It's just the beginning. They've said yes. You still have work to do, okay? You still have work to do. So don't take that for granted. All right. But if you do this work the right way, they're going to really trust you, believe in you, and they're going to refer to you like crazy, and they're never, ever, ever going to forget you. And basically it's like this, and I didn't get the animations set on this, so I apologize. Let me make sure I have the right stuff. Yeah, okay, cool. So let's pretend that this animation works. And the first thing that you'll see on the left there is, imagine that you're lost, okay? Imagine you're lost. You're like, like, I don't know which way to go. I need to get to, like, I was just over in London, right? And, you go down the subway and they've got the maps and shit, but it's still, like, kind of confusing, right? And let's say that I'm down there and I'm like, I find somebody, I'm like, hey, can you help me get to, I don't know, Piccadilly Circus or something, Piccadilly Square, whatever they call it. And, oh, yeah, sure, come on, follow me. Okay, great. And then we get on the train and their time goes by, right? So there's that third spot there. Time goes by. And then, like, all of a sudden you realize, like, the other person, they're like, wait a minute, I think maybe we got on the wrong train. I'm not sure. And then you're just like, what? Holy shit. It's like, wait a minute. So I've been on this train with you for 15 minutes and now you're telling me we're on the wrong train. The other thing is, like, so if you imagine your process, right? You get someone who comes in, they're lost. You say, yeah, I can help you. Let's go. And then, like, a couple of weeks go by, a few weeks go by, and then the person is still, like, wondering, like, what's going on. They don't even have any clarity on, like, how things are going, right? So what happens is, if you're like me and 95% of other humans, you're going to start to lose hope. You're going to be like, man, I mean, I've been coming here for 2-3 weeks and I'm just as confused as when I showed up. This doesn't feel right. And this is why people bail. And the result in your practice is you have a leaky bucket, okay? You can fill that bucket with as much water as you want. It's going to leak out, all right? And again, this is where a lot of people, man, even if they get their marketing together and they start getting people in the door, no one sticks around. So, I've done some training around, are you trying to fill a leaky bucket? And this is how you plug the holes in your bucket, okay? Here's what your patient wants so badly. They want a roadmap, a plan. They want a clear idea of where they're going, and they want leadership, right? They want somebody to tell them what to do, and to tell them what to do with confidence, clarity, okay? So make sure that sometime very soon after this person is now your patient, that you present them with a plan, number one, and number two, that you present that plan to them without hesitation, without doubt, without I think this will probably work. Let's see, here's what we're going to try. No. Okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. Here's what's going to happen. All right, let's go. Okay? So they see that there's actually a plan. And I know this sounds like probably so basic and simple, but it's funny because, like, honestly, this stuff is basic and simple. And, human nature, we crave simplicity, actually. We crave simplicity, and we crave direction, and we crave just, being able to trust people. Okay, so give that as soon as you possibly can. All right. Now, there's one ridiculously simple language shift. One. And again, this is an internal and external language shift. All right. That can virtually double your patient numbers overnight. And I'm not kidding. Like, I did a training about 6 months ago, on the one script that took my schedule from falling apart to waitlisted in 10 days. And that was a true story about some stuff that was going on here at my office, where one of my receptionists was starting to slip with the we everything in my clinic is pretty much scripted. I mean, obviously we don't sit there and just read scripts like robots, but our process is very locked in. It's very solid. Like we do the same sequence with every new patient, the same sequence with every person after their intake, the same sequence during the follow-up phases. It's all mastered, you know. It's like a musical piece, right? From start to finish, or like a movie from start to finish. So she was starting to essentially not play her part and forgetting her lines, so to speak. And the schedule was falling apart. And I just, I had my office manager talk to her, because I'd already talked to her about it a couple times. And I think that, I don't know, maybe she scared me or something. I don't know, but she just wasn't like following it. So I told my office manager, I'm like, you try, because if she doesn't really like start taking this seriously, we're going to have to let her go, because I can't let somebody destroy my schedule. You know, I mean, this is how I pay my bills. This is how I pay my daughter's college. It's how I'm saving for retirement. And, you know, I mean, sadly, I mean, I love my employees, but my employees are not, I'm not going to allow my employees to wreck my family's future. Sorry, by not, you know, just doing some simple things. So my office manager gave her the script and kind of like, I guess, really told her like, look, Chris is not happy, and, you know, he doesn't want to have to do anything, but if you don't start following the script, you probably aren't going to be here much longer. So then all of a sudden, she's really on top of it. And guess what? 10 days later, we had a wait list. And my schedule was definitely falling. Like, the reason that I even went to Katie, my office manager, in the first place is because I was sitting there and we only had 10 patients on the schedule that day, which for me is really bad. Like, I couldn't even remember the last time I only had 10 patients. And I'm like, this is not good. And I'm not going to make excuses. We actually looked at all of our numbers. I made her, we together, I didn't make her do anything, but I told Katie, I said, let's go pull up all these reports. I want you to look at, you know, how many new patients, how many free consults we've had, et cetera, compared to last year at the same time. And actually, we had more new, you know, free consults than the year before at the same time. And so I'm like, so this isn't a problem with new patients. Like, we actually have more new patients. This is a problem where we're not there's a hole in the bucket, basically. So plug that hole. Next thing you know, the bucket's overflowing, right? So I want you to remember something. We are not waiters. We're not a service industry, and we're not selling products, okay? This is not what we do. We are experts. We're experts, and we're solving serious problems, okay? So stop thinking of yourself as a retail or as a service or restaurant or bar, you know, like serving things to people, right? Because that's not what we are. The tools, the needles, the supplements, all that, they are merely support materials for our expert guidance helping to solve their problem, right? So it's just kind of like if you're a professor, if you're a teacher, your marker, your whiteboard, the textbook, the review materials, all of that is just supporting materials for helping your students to learn the thing that you're teaching, which is going to change their life forever. Like, if you learn how to add 3 + 2 and you didn't know how to add 3 + 2 before, that gives you a lot of power, right? It gives you a lot. I mean, we underestimate how much power like simple things like that give us. Or learning how to read, or learning how to, market your practice. I mean, you learn this stuff and it changes everything. It gives you so much power, right? That's what we're doing. We're empowering our patients. So let me give you some examples. In a service business, you say things like, can I help you? When would you like to come back? Would you like to try this? Okay. But in an expert business, we don't do that. Here's what we do. We say, here's what you need to do. Okay. Here's what's going to help you. Not, can I help you? How can I help you? What would you like? Etc. You say, instead of when would you like to come back, you say, you need to come back next week. Okay. I'll see you next week. Why? Because, it's like, now listen, sometimes they don't come back next week, even though you tell them to. That's fine. You can't control how they behave. But I know that if they're going to get the result that they want, they're going to need to keep coming back. So I'm just going to tell them to keep coming back. I'm not going to ask them if they want to. And then, would you like to try this? No, we're going to try this now. Okay, so take this herb, or here, go ahead and stop eating that food, or start eating more of that food. So what's missing from the expert business side in this case? Anybody want to take a guess? What's missing is the question mark. Okay? So when you're in clinic, stop asking questions. Like, of course, every once in a while you're going to have to ask a question. Obviously, especially when you're in the discussion with your patient about what's going on, you're going to have to ask them things like, so how are you feeling? So is the shoulder still, hurting in the back, or, are you still having the nausea after you eat this food or whatever? You're going to have to ask questions, obviously, right? So I'm not saying never ask a question, but especially when it comes to the part where you're directing and guiding the treatment and the process, you need to just tell them what to do. So when you start to get to a place and and like, for instance, when you're at the front desk and it's time to maybe book some more sessions, if you feel yourself going down the path of, I'm about to ask them, do you want to book more sessions? Then, do you want to book more sessions today? No, it's like, okay, let's go ahead and book. Let's go ahead and get you booked out. Okay. And again, it's because why? People want leadership. That's why they're in your office. If they had it all figured out on their own, they wouldn't be in your office, right? And it actually helps them to feel very safe, and it helps them to feel cared for, actually. You really show you care when you guide. It's like with our kids, right? Our kids really want, even though they push back, what they really need from us is for us as parents to give them guidance. And they often have to be told things maybe they don't want to hear, or, we need to tell them, you got to get up at 6 a.m. tomorrow and go to school every day. It's like, that's what you're going to do. Right. So same thing with our patients, and they really need that. Okay. So just because they're grown-ups and they're adults doesn't mean we don't realize that we still have to be in many ways like a guide, a teacher, a parent, a mentor, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So it's very important. So here's what we learned today. Again, what's the singular most important thing you do to generate insane retention and massive referrals? Just chill out and have fun. Chill out and have fun, no matter what's going on. Even if this is the shittiest week you've had in a long time, like, oh my God, I only have 10 patients this week. You know what? Still have fun. Like, just relax, and focus on the positive, focus on the gratitude that you get to do this work. Something your patient desperately wants from you, they'll never ask for, but once you give it to them, you have to give it to them, or you risk losing their trust and confidence forever. They want leadership, and they want a plan. Okay. And finally, one ridiculously simple language shift, and this is really internal and external, right? That can virtually double your patient numbers overnight, is to stop asking questions all the time and really just be more of a leader, and remember that you are an expert and that you're helping them solve big problems, and see yourself that way. See yourself as the expert, because you are the expert in the room. And a quick reminder, again, I'm here to help you. Okay? And getting started is as simple as just filling out this application. It's not an obligation to join. Okay. However, when you fill out the application, you'll see the questions are pretty tight. Like I'm gonna ask you what are your goals? Like a year from now, where do you see yourself a year from now? Because I want to know like what you're looking at and what you really want. Because I only like to work with motivated people. I'll be very honest with you. I don't like to work with people who aren't motivated, because I can't do the work for you. I can definitely show you how. It's like I say, I can walk with you, but I cannot walk for you. It's impossible to walk for someone else, right? If someone wants to get from point A to point B and they're having a hard time walking, I can go over there and I can help pick them up and guide them by the hand and walk them to where they need to go. But they're going to need to like also walk, right? So, you got to be motivated. But if you're motivated, man, this program I would have never, when I first put it out, I'll be straight, I didn't know for sure it was going to work, right? I mean, I knew it would work for me, and I figured I could teach it, but I didn't know if it was going to work for other people. And if you go to this page, you will see the proof, okay, from the group, from the trainee group, just how like amazing it's been. And it's been just as amazing for me, honestly. Like, it's just beautiful to watch this. Julie, who went from 30 to 56 patients in less than 4 months, after struggling for a year, 2 years, right around between 20 and 30 patients a week. Monica, who had 70 people booked in 1 week, and she was booking people out 4 weeks in advance because her schedule was filling up so fast. 3 months after opening her practice, Rosanna had 45 patients in a week. Okay. 30 days into the program, Anne had 6 new patients over 2 days, which she'd never had before. And 5 of them were referrals, right? So she hadn't even started running the ads yet. And she was already seeing this shift. Emily, who shared this graph with me one day on one of our coaching calls, and I just thought it was so cool. February of 2018, she was earning right around 10K a month, a little less. By August of 2018, she was hitting almost 25K a month. That's a pretty big increase. So there's more of this stuff on the page. There's videos for you to watch, and basically just hear it from the people themselves. I don't have to sit here and tell you, okay? That's my point. Let other people experience guide you, okay? And again, the application is not an obligation. So I would love it if you wanted me to help you, and that's what I do. And that's it. Talk soon.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.